Hello, Blazor fans. Welcome to another Blazor Solar Power Hour. We're going to do some more building of our app that includes Lance McCarthy, who's joined me here. Lance's solar power hardware and software that he's running. So we're tying in to his solar panel system through a bridge and displaying data live in a Blazor view. We got some of that stuff wired up last week, right, Lance?
That's right.
And we do have a third partner that is joining us, but we had a little technical difficulty before the show, so he might join us in a minute. Um, so we should probably take a quick review of what we did so far while we wait for Justin to join us and get the audience up to speed with what we're working with.
Yeah.
So I'll share my screen. We have, let's get our tools up as well. See, did that work?
Yeah, I think a quick
There,
5-minute recap at the beginning of each episode would be good because we have new people joining us all the time. And it's like, hey, we're looking at code already. What is this about?
Yeah. So we have a single project so far. It's just a Blazor server project running .NET 8. And we have a couple components built already and a pretty decent layout thanks to the Telerik UI for Blazor that we added last week. So it's a complete Blazor server project. And we decided to do that with the project because of the sockets, right, Lance? It was a MQTT thing.
Yeah, we're using an MQTT broker, which is, I imagine some viewers are familiar with SignalR. You can think of that, but SignalR uses WebSockets, whereas these are like native TCP/IP sockets. But that it's a pub subsystem where we have this one hub that is sending out messages for anyone to subscribe to.
And we do that through our MQTT UI service. And then we piped that into, is it our weather component? No, it's the home component. And in our home component, we've got everything commented out because we were adding the UI part and we were getting some delays while we were trying to iterate, and it was slowing us down a little bit. So
Yeah, where we stand now is this live data is pumping in so too fast for us, right? Where this is the Blazor server app and we need to update the UI with this live data. We have this question now on how to do the architecture on how often do we update the UI? Does it have to be as fast as the live data is coming in? And what kind of problems does that cause for usability? So I think that's where we stand now. We're only listening to 4 or 5 topics, but in reality, there are about 12 or 15 that we'll want to consume in the end, anyways. So it's good that we address this now.
So let's start, I guess, by re-enabling the service that we disabled because we were building the UI out. Let's run the app real quick, take a look, see what it looks like first.
Why don't we add a toggle button, right? So even while the app's running, we
Okay.
can enable and disable the service.
And Justin is back. Welcome, Justin.
Hello, thank you.
We were just doing a recap here. I don't know if you heard what we were talking about, but we're just showing the audience what we built so far. And this is what we have. UI wise, we've got the ability to like toggle a nice drawer menu. This is using the Telerik UI for Blazor stuff. So we've got icons. We can click through these mini mode app bar icons and switch between different views. And our main view that we're working in is this one. And we just kind of set up this hello world to make sure we had proper styling on our buttons and stuff while we got the Blazor things working, or the Telerik things working. So if we jump back to the app, we've got everything disabled so we could do those UI updates without listening to the service and spinning up this expensive thing every time we rebooted the app. So we want to add a toggle button.
Yeah, because you see on line 18 where it says subscribe async, that's when we actually start listening to them. So we could move that subscribe async into a toggle buttons on or off, right? So we call subscribe async when the button is on, and unsubscribe async when the button is off. That way we can leave all the other code commented back out, right? Commented in, and just leave that. And then while we're debugging, let's say we did want to start updating UI or stop using, we just hit the toggle button. So we can leave it as false by default. Yeah.
All right, so we can set that up by creating a flag here. And then let's trade out this Telerik button because we're not really using that for anything. It was just a sample. And then we can come in and say Telerik toggle button. There we go. And then we can, let's see, what, Justin, you know the
bind
correct
selected.
Bind selected. There we go.
Yeah.
I was missing the @ symbol, so it was kind of ignoring me. Then we could say is subscribed. And that should be it. And then does it take text internally here, or do we have to add a label to it?
I think
you can put text in there.
Right?
Can we?
But do we want
give it a title that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On off doesn't tell us much though. So maybe you do want to customize it to subscribe or unsubscribe, or put a label to the left of it, right?
Title.
That, okay, that's a toggle button. Did I use the
Oh,
wrong
don't we want to
component? I was
toggle
thinking
switch?
toggle switch. Yeah. I was like, that's a weird looking toggle. Is it not? Is it just switch?
Telerik switch.
There we go. IntelliSense is just failing me today. Like it's.
Yeah. Why didn't it fix the other side?
And then the bind statement doesn't seem to be happy. Let's see. Cannot prefer.
Instead of selected, what does it be on or something?
Bind value.
I'm getting no IntelliSense. This is not going to be a fun show. What? Blazor,
I'm
what are you
spoiled
doing?
by XAML IntelliSense. So when I do switch back and forth to XAML and Razor, you find it sometimes.
It doesn't like that either, I don't think. Telerik switch.
It should be at bind dash value with a capital V.
It doesn't like the switch though. Oh, uninitialize async is. Oh, okay. That's because we don't have an await. Let's try this again. Telerik switch. Not be inferred. Oh, it needs a T value. It needs to be bound to something. There's my. There we go. Got IntelliSense back. Once we bind it, it'll get the T value. You must be able to bind it to other things than a bool, which is interesting. I don't know what else you'd bind a switch to, but apparently that's a thing. And does it have a text field here was what I was asking. We'll run it and see.
Yeah, I think this is the one that
yeah, it didn't like that.
You have on text and off text or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have a quote child content, so that means you cannot place things within the tag. So we will go ahead and just define it this way. And then
there's an on label and an off label parameter.
That's what I was thinking of. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the on label, that's nice because it handles that toggling logic and text for you. So it knows that it's got these two states. And then the on label would be like subscribed or something like that. And the off label would be
maybe disconnected.
Yeah, let's change the other side to connected then. There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome. So
and then we need to handle the value change, right? Or do we use an event handler for this?
Oh.
You have to make it wider.
So is that a width setting? I probably should have left that running. It could be because I'm zoomed too, but.
No, I remember having the same problem because the width is set to the default on-off values.
Oh, God. Woo! Oh, that's fun.
I think you just invented a new control, like header toggle.
That is epic.
I guess.
With let's try auto. Let's see what auto does. I need to stop rebooting this app too. I can just minimize it because yeah, that's auto's not working either. We will probably figure out the proper width thing later, but for now, let's just get like a pixel value. We should be able to do this in an automated way. I don't know why it's... And then I think I hit my number lock off, so that's going to jump around. All right, let's try that again. 300's too big, 50 was too small. Shoot for the middle.
Well, at
here.
least disconnected and connected are close to the same width. Imagine one was much longer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be... Let's see, did you send me something here? Okay, that's if we're not going to do... That worked. 100 seems to be... Nope. It's cutting off the disk part. There's got to be a way to do this better. I know there's something I'm probably not doing right. Jeez, I cannot type on a live stream. There we go. All right.
That looks nice. Yeah.
So we're doing a direct bind here, so we're not hooking into the event directly. So if we were gonna do the bind value, we'd just kind of have the is subscribed wherever things are gonna happen, and then rely on that, or we could just directly bind to the event itself and say value changed, and then we have to give it the expression here. Let's see. Give it an event handler, and then we need an event for this. Let's do void toggle connection. We can rename that later if that's not good. And what is blowing up here? Oh, yeah.
You need to make it returnable. So instead of void, it would ask.
It wants a completed statement here.
Action callback. Yeah.
Does not like that.
And then one final parenthesis at the end.
Argument. There we go. That's what it is. Last connecting parenthesis, and then we need to add the argument down here. We should be good. All right, that should do it. And then,
I mean, technically, we don't need the backing field, but I think it would still be good to have that data available if there's some other part of the logic we want to know if we're subscribed or not.
Yeah, we can set that here. This is going to be the new value. And then we want to do something.
So we either want to call service subscribe async or service unsubscribe async based on that value.
So if the value, so if we're connected, then we want to wait. So we're going to have to change. Oh, there it goes. So I'm in Visual Studio Preview, so it jumped up here and started working on the await async bit. That's new. Maybe that's why I'm having these. I might switch to the other version of Visual Studio where things are a little more stable. So we need to take the MQTT service and then...
You had it as a backing. So why on initialize async do we have a private field? So you have service dot. You used to have a backing, like a private field for the service. Where did that go?
It is service.
Oh, it's injected. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're going to resubscribe when that happens. And then if we're not listening to the service, we'll unsubscribe. Basic. Like that. We need to wait that.
Perfect. Now we can take out line 22 and comment 21 back in.
Right. And then that killed all of our errors that we had there.
If we're gonna
And then-
subscribe when we come in, then we should change the initial value of the is subscribed to true.
Well, that's a good question because do we want to start immediately listening and hook into the server right away when the app launches? For the user, probably yes. But for us now, what do you think?
Maybe
Like,
not.
yeah, I don't know. Will it make a difference on the app functionality? I'm not sure yet.
We could probably keep it this way for now.
Flip it on when we want to try the
yeah. We could always put a if def if we really wanted to and say if it's in developer mode, show the toggle button. But I think we're not quite there yet. We're not ready for consumers yet. So I think it's fine to leave it the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, the problem we're solving today is that there's too much data coming in. And we want to kind of not necessarily sample the data. We still want all of the data points that are coming in because it's only once a second. As far as the runtime goes, it can totally handle that rate, but it's the UI refresh that can't. So the thing we want to solve today is how often do we update the UI with that data? Because we can't call invoke async state has changed 10 times every second because it'll go 10 times really quick and then 10 times really quick every second. So
yeah, we don't like people can't consume the content that fast anyway. Yep. So it's just wasting CPU cycles and bogging down your browser for nothing.
And this is a common problem I have even with our customers, right? They open technical support tickets like my app isn't showing 1,000 data points for every like millimeter of their chart. And kind of have this conversation of that the human eye can't distinguish data points that close anyways. So the x-axis will sample every 10 data points, or you change the tick width, the resolution of each tick not to go so deep. Tricks like that.
So let's just check and make sure that our system is working. Let's see. We were having an issue with this before the end of the show.
So I think we can take out the invoke async, right? We only want to look at the debugger. Oh, yeah. Why is there a problem with that last?
Yeah, there was something with the last if statement. It says that there's an unexpected semicolon, which there's only one here. So I don't understand where that is coming from. There shouldn't be like one here or anything. Why is it on
Maybe
that
put some real code in one of the if statements. Maybe it's having a problem with not having a condition.
So we've got our message we could just pop stuff into. We could say message equals, was it E? And just say got here. We'll do the old school console debugging. Just say got
made
here.
it all the way to here.
Got there. Made it there. But there's still.
Nope. What is that error for?
So we've got if, else if, else. And that's the last else. So what's the...
Maybe just rewrite it as a switch, but I'm really curious why that's not working. Maybe one of the quote characters not correct.
I mean, we don't even really technically need the else, I don't think.
Yeah,
right?
we don't need the else.
Because we know it's
Mhm.
if it's not
Hey, there you go.
this, then it's going to be something else anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that seemed to work. We don't know how to write if else statements. We've only been doing this 20 years. It's all good. So let's see. We should have no message, and then when we toggle the button, it should say got here. So undefined, got here.
Nice.
And it's writing that got here like a million times a second. Cool. All right. So now we have something to play with anyway. We got somewhere. We're good. Actually, let me commit this as well. So added. And
Oh, you know,
then,
another pet peeve that I have with the current state is that the home button is not home. It's just one of those weird things for me. Watch the next time we launch it. You probably didn't even notice it.
let's see, master, then merge that up to master.
You know, I
There we
still
go.
haven't gotten used to using Visual Studio's Git UI, even the newest one. Like I
Really?
tend to use the either GitHub for desktop app or the command line.
I don't know. I gravitated to it and just started using it. I had something else. Maybe it was the GitHub desktop app or something I was using before. So I've always had some kind of UI thing. The console, the command console in Windows has always been lackluster until this recent update that gave us like tabs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't spending a lot of time in there anyway. But yeah. So this is now on our master branch, and we've got the Telerik UI bits in there, so we don't really need that branch anymore. I don't know if did I push that one publicly? I'm gonna delete it. See if it's in remotes. Nope, it's not up in remotes. So take that one out. And then what do we want to do next? Well, we want to put some of this data in action here. We messed around with some of the data values last time. We pulled like it was, what was it? The argument application message dot something else.
Yeah, let's say that we're going the power state one. So it's the e dot application message. Didn't we write the logic to parse out because it's a byte array, but they're in segments.
Oh
So
yeah,
they're
we
byte
did.
segments.
So we can go grab that back out of our history. If we go to here, if I committed it, it should be committed somewhere.
Was it in a different branch?
I think it was on the main branch. So let's try that. I'm trying to get it in a full-size window. There we go. So we had connect to the server, display topics in the UI.
Oh, we did it on another page, maybe?
Did we?
How many views are in the app right now?
There's just the one, I think.
Yeah, I only see
Go over to Solution
home
Explorer.
and main layout.
Counter, error page, home. I don't think we do have it in
That's
there.
strange because
we typed it out. I might not have got committed. It may not have got committed.
It's basically, it's quick to reproduce. It's just e application message dot payload segment, and then we cast it to a byte array. Payload segment, yeah, and then to array. Yeah, and now this is the byte array of the thing, and we need to parse it, right? We parse it using encoding.ascii get string. So the next
That's
line,
what it was.
yeah.
How did
We
we
might
do
have
that
to
again?
do encoding first because ASCII is a property of the static encoding class. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it being capital encoding and then get
That looks right. And then .ascii and then get string should be in there.
String. There we go.
Yeah. We pass in the bytes, and then now we get the value as a string. The value might be numeric, but the way that the broker works, it sends all values that we can turn into a string. There are different ways to handle the data, but this is the easiest way to get started and get a string out of a value.
So do that. All right.
And here, what you can write is actually battery power equals value, and we can see that change once a second.
Battery
Do you know what I mean?
power?
Like an interpolated string. So message equals.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha.
And that would be battery power equals the value. Yep.
Yeah, I remember we did this, but I guess I didn't save it.
Yeah, I don't know how it got lost. We had to go back and watch.
Wouldn't that be funny during one of our
What?
episodes to go back to the last episode and
Yeah,
like fast forward?
So this is
What's going on?
now. That was then. This is now. What's happening then is happening now. Yeah, I wish I could remember that bit. It's my absolute favorite. Which they're making a second one of those. There we go. Battery
Excellent.
power is going to start flashing like crazy, and it's doing the other got here's. So
Yeah.
there's other messages popping in. Where that
So now you see the
nice.
convenience of having the toggle switch data. We don't have to keep stop debugging. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, so we know how to decode this stuff. Do we need to
The
like
thing is, you
wrap
only
this
need
in
to
like
decode it once, so you don't actually have to have that inside your if or switch statement. So that could be moved. Well, we do want to know if we're going to decode something. So sometimes I move this into a helper method and then call that helper method, which takes that value because we're going to do this for each topic that we want. But for now, I say maybe just like 4 strings in the UI, and one for battery power, one for PV power, one for grid power and load power, and like a little stack, and all 4 of those would update. And we'll start to see the problem that we want to solve.
All of them are going to have this byte array conversion,
exactly,
right?
So let's extract that to a method.
Let's do this. So this array segment of byte is what a payload segment is.
Yep.
All right, let's
so you can make a decision now. Do we want to pass the args, the application message, or the data? The data is probably the best because then we keep the compiled part of the app a little simpler.
Let's see here. Let's do we've got, I forget the name of everything in here. We've got something utilities. What are these things called? Just call it message utilities or something like that.
That works. Then we can have other helpers in there.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a static class for now and just making it an extension method. And if we decide to do something different later, we can. And then we can just rip this out. And this payload segment is, all right, let's see, application message, MQTT.
I think there's a trick. Can we do an extract if you select it in this? I don't know if it's a resharper feature, but if you select the segment, you right click, and there's sometimes a thing that says extract as function.
So yeah, that would be great if we were in a code behind file, but since this is a Razor component, that doesn't work here.
Well, it's not a big deal. We're only a couple lines of code here, so So what do we want to accept for? We're not making this an extension method right now, right? It's just a helper method.
You just want to grab it as a method.
So
what do we want to pass in? The payload segment?
Yeah, so I would say an array segment of type byte is the parameter.
See, I was thinking static class.
I think it would be public static string.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are making an extension method or not?
Yeah.
So public static string, and then.
And it was an array.
Array segment.
Segment.
Yeah. And then it's
byte.
typed to byte. Exactly. And we can just
see. So we still have to call to array on it, don't we?
Yeah, but we're still not in a function, so you need to take those. Yeah, to array. And then missing the lambda or the brackets to return that value. Because your public static string is not a function yet. Yeah.
Yep. Jeez. I do this every day, believe it or not. Yeah,
we get paid for this stuff.
That actually, like you said, could have been a
nice fancy lambda, and then look at that.
There we go. God,
extra bracket.
Really wants to like keep stopping our thing.
But line 8, we need to get rid of the abandoned bracket in the helper class.
Abandoned bracket in the helper class. Oh, thank you.
Line 8,
yep.
Or 9.
There we go.
But now we want one on 8 again. There we go. Yeah.
So now we can take e dot application message dot
payload segment.
Get value from is what I called it. That's not a great name. Do we want to call this something else?
Yeah, probably.
Let's rename that.
Get reading. Or we're not parsing anything yet because it's just a string that is encoded in a byte array. And that byte array came from a byte segment, which is easier to transport over the socket. So we can say something that reports to what the value is. So we can say get reading. And that's more descriptive, I think, a little bit.
Topic value.
That's one, get topic value.
So let's see, we've got payload segment. Yeah, I like get topic value. There we go.
Nice.
There, that stopped.
And
so
now you can do that on
go.
every line with just a different name for the topic. And since the topic part itself is a string, because there's too many topics. Otherwise, I would have said just put e-application topic equals payload segment get topic value. But this is going to happen so fast and so many times that we would need a list to display them all. Or we have 4 static string objects in the UI, and we just update each one of those 4 according to what it is.
So we do this, but we need, like you said, we need to put this into something a little more digestible.
Yeah, so like see how we have just message right now? I would say let's have 4 strings. One is battery power message, one is PV power, one is grid power, one is load power. So that in the UI, they don't keep overwriting the same one, and we can see each one as they come in.
So do we start with a list here?
I mean, whatever is easier, right? If we want a list of string, then we can just have a list element in the UI instead of, because right now on line 4, no, where do we show the value? Line 12. So line 12, we have message in the UI. We could put 4 different messages there, or we can put a list box there. Whatever.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And keep updating those.
It's just temporary for right now, so that we can see all 4 values.
I guess let's list them out.
Yeah.
So we've got battery power. We've got battery power is what's the inverter message?
Inverter 1, it's power. Oh no, PV power.
Inverter.
So you see right before state at the end of the topic, how it says battery power, state, PV power.
Oh, geez, what is? Jeez, IntelliSense being aggressive. I'm just typing. Is that okay
I don't
with
see
you,
the other one.
IntelliSense?
What are the other two?
You know what?
One is,
Give me 1 second, guys.
yeah.
Jeez, I just can't deal with that. Visual Studio 2022 without the preview bits. It may have been fixed in an update. I am an update behind on this PC, so forgive me while I just load the stable version in and see if this
It's the early
nonsense
access
stops.
text.
Holy cow! I can't even type directly, like filling every day. Let's see, did it pick up the right solution when I clicked? It did. Okay. It started like updating the UI as I was clicking. All right. So I'm just trying to type plain text here in Visual Studio. We
That's
got
the next one.
grid power and load power.
Yeah.
There, and this one's not doing that weird stuff. All right. So we've got these values, and then you just drop a, let's see if this isn't going to matter in HTML. Put that there. And then we want to display those messages out. So we need some backing fields.
What was that shortcut you just used?
Oh, that's actually a good thing we could mention to folks watching. So I held the Alt button down and just dragged, and you can edit multiple lines at once. So it'll repeat everything across those. And I think you can, let's see if I can do it. I know you can do it Visual Studio Code. Yeah, you could place them if you hold Shift or Control and Alt. Something else in Visual Studio Code, but you can hold and do on multiple lines like that.
It doesn't have to be on the same line in the VS Code trick. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Alt and drag to do a box like that, and then it's Control Alt to do kind of ad hoc, like wherever the icon is, or the I-beam is. Battery power. PV power.
I'll be right back, guys. Got someone at the door.
Alrighty. Why am I'm like I love being able to jump between languages, but then I do silly stuff like this. It's like I'm working in, we're getting data from a thing and I see the underscores over here. Maybe I'm pulling in some JSON data, I'm doing some JavaScript, whatever, and then I'll start doing that. I gotta get the different notations right. And then that's when my brain breaks and I just start writing code from
getting a little
I haven't used in forever. I'll just start doing some VB, or one day I started writing Pascal, which I hadn't done in like 30 years. It's like, okay, where did Pascal come from? I couldn't even tell you right now a line of Pascal, but one day I just started writing Pascal and I was like, well, why is the compiler not happy? I was like, oh, where did that come from? Brains are weird.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, why the association from so long ago just pops up sometimes.
It does. Oh, jeez. PV power. That was me being lazy. It wasn't IntelliSense this time. I just assumed it was going to autocomplete after 2 letters. There we go. So that's going to write those out. And then we can come back in here and everything has gone awry with the highlighting. Do you see the highlighting gone crazy?
Yeah.
Thank you, Razor.
It's
That's
not happy.
something I needed in my life today. Try reloading that. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Gotta have the color coding. It makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, especially when it jumbles it all up. And then I'll submit that. I'm not gonna go there, but submitting things to the little help icon doesn't always go where you want it to go. Hence why this problem still exists. Anyway, battery power. We can convert this to battery power.
And now you don't even
then,
need the interpolated string anymore. You can just do equals e.application method.
Let's see. This one was grid power. And then this one was load power. And then you said we don't need the string interpolation. Oh, yeah.
You can just take all of that out.
Drop that.
Because our helper method returns a string.
There we go. We can copy that and drop it there. And now we're cooking.
Hey, now the helper method is paying off, right? Just paste.
Yeah.
Okay, we should start seeing our fundamental problem. And we might have to start throttling it.
Looking crazy, right?
Yeah.
So we're disconnected, and then when I hit connect, I get 235. The power's fluctuating.
This is good. Every 1 second, we should see an update. So every 1 second, it's calling that function about 14 times. And 4 out of those 14 times, it's going to be one of those 4 values. But
not only
14
that,
times
but
are
if something
updating
is steady, like it may say 227 here for a couple seconds, and you're like, oh, that's not updating very often. Well, it might be the same value over and over again. So it is hitting and it's rewriting it, but you don't really notice it.
Also, go back to the method and scroll to the bottom. Look at when we are calling update UI. We're doing this every single time it calls, even if we're not updating anything in the UI. So that's a bunch of wasted cycles there too. Because that function is going to get called 15 or 16 times.
I'm going to do this
a second.
Time. Actually, let's do this here. I had a hard time reading those because they're all kind of mushed together on the same line. That should fix that. Is hot reload gonna? No. I don't think this streaming thing and the hot reload's working together. The data streaming, not the live streaming. May end up just turning the hot reload stuff off. All right, so what we can do, this being a Blazor or web-based app, is we can actually come in here too, and we should be able to see, there we go. You can see these little blips. I'm going to zoom in for just a second. Watch the paragraph tags when I zoom out. You can see the blips changing. That's the rewrites happening in the UI. So if it's completely unchanged, it's still going through the process of looking at the UI tree and seeing if it's doing the diffing algorithm and it's just landing on nothing. So it won't come back and rewrite the UI, but it is going through a lot of work. It is cycling the CPU to like do that diffing over and over and over again every time these things hit. So we really don't want to do that.
Matter of fact, just to see, because I'm curious if it's only doing 8 topics or if it's doing 20 topics. At the top, got message. just do console log e.application message.topic. So we can actually see the impact that we're wasting.
e.application message topic.
Yep. So we can see all the other topics that are being processed on, but that we're not doing anything in the UI with.
Yeah, because we're hitting these branches, all these if statements, right? Like that. We'll go to our. It's gonna show. It's not showing here. It's gonna show in the console because it's Blazor server.
Yeah.
So these are all decisions being made multiple times with the UI.
And a lot of that we're not updating any UI things with anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Right. At least it only seems about 8 topics, but that can change depending on the time of day. And there are new topics that happen, like when it switches to a certain mode or.
So I thought of a way we could regulate this. Do we want to try that approach? I kind of shared that with you guys on our private channel earlier. Or do you have something else that you'd like to kind of take a stab at?
Now, this is good for now. I think we need to handle getting all the data from all the topics in its own thing. Like this is a responsibility. And then there's a separate responsibility of updating the UI with the current value of one of those things every so often. And I think that's the power behind the idea that you shared with us earlier.
Okay. And we are almost at the top of the hour. So do we want to stop here and then pick up next week? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I'm going to do some code formatting real quick. And then let's see. We'll commit this to our GitHub repo. So let's go ahead and I wish the start bar would quit popping up on me. Let's see. Added some messages here. To the UI. And let's see, what else kind of work did we do here? All right, I think that's good enough. We'll commit that, and then we'll go ahead and sync that up. And then we'll hold on this for next week. And then next week we'll figure out how to do the idea, I think, that we landed on, or at least I presented so far, is that we have kind of a like a refresh rate that we're going to set, kind of like a game loop almost that you'd build if you're making like a gaming engine, where we're going to, instead of what Blazor normally does, which is look for events and in those events go ahead and re-render components, or wait for you to call state has changed because you did something listening to an event. We're actually going to set up a loop that calls state has changed on a timer basis. So it'll use like a task delay to set a timer, and then on that timer it's going to say, all right, go ahead and re-render any updates that you received within this time frame. So that way we can set up like a how many frames per second we want this to operate at, instead of letting it just go like full drink from the fire hose and keep updating as much as it wants. So that should cut down on the amount of data or the amount of UI process that's happening. And then, like you said, it's going to be kind of a multi-prong approach where we're going to also minimize the amount of this that we're doing as well.
So what we need is a history, right? So we imagine we have at least a couple charts, right? So each time this comes in, we should create a class. The class might be message and not message, MQTT data or something. And we have a string for a display name and a value or string for its value object. We can change that later. But the point is that we can have in a collection or a list of T or observable collection of T, where each time that comes in, we add the item to that collection, right? Maybe up to a couple hundred items. And then so that list is getting items inserted into it really quickly, right? And then every 3 seconds or so, the UI updates with any visuals that we want to change instead of every 15 times a second. Does observable collection automatically update the UI in Blazor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. Well,
in that case, we don't have
the
to worry about
observable
it.
collection, I don't think does. It's the grid when it's bound to an observable collection automatically does.
Okay, so the grid will
Blazor
detect
inherently does not. Does that sound right, Justin? But our
Yeah.
grid does when you bind to it.
We have a few of our controls that do that when it's bound to it. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's our proprietary, or not proprietary, but our domain specific scenario where if I just took a observable collection and pumped data into it in this loop without the state has changed, it wouldn't do anything.
It needs to be bound to a UI element, and the UI element is taking that responsibility on.
Yeah, so our data grids internally, I think, look at the type that it's bound to, and if it's a type of observable collection, then when that observable collection gets an update, it will then trigger state has changed. But I don't think there's anything inherent to Blazor that's looking at the observable collection and doing anything with it.
That makes sense. But if it was a list of T, maybe we wouldn't, or
I mean, I think we could, like, let's see, you guys have a hard out here.
yeah,
But we might be able to do this like really quick if we just said observable.
The reason why I ask is because if we're just going to be inserting stuff into a list or an observable collection, what are the differences? Observable collection comes with the benefit of automatically updating the UI that it's bound to, but it does have to be bound to something like a list box or something like that. And then we don't need to worry about manually calling refresh, because then only when that collection gets an update will the UI get refreshed. I'm not wasting 10 extra refreshes for no UI change at all.
So we can do this. I've got a temporary collection set up here, and we'll make this real simple and just say temp dot, oh, come on, dude. Temp dot count right there. And then if we come in here and take this out, so we're not going to
just add every
state
item
has
to that.
Changed. And yeah, we'll just say
what is the collection of?
Add. It's a string.
Okay,
so
yeah,
I'll
just add the topics.
E application message, and it doesn't matter.
Just topic. We don't need the value, right? Because they will only check in the count. Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea there, Lance. And then we'll just throw every topic in that list. We're going to do a count on it, and if the count stays at 0, the observable collection doesn't refresh the UI.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and then connect, and it's going to stay at 0 because there's still nothing in the loop that's telling it that there's a change. The collection is going up, but it's not tied into the UI at all. It's completely silent. It's not.
But if we connected that observable collection to the data grid's item source, then it would, because we're internally calling state has changed when we see collection changed event.
Right. That's a built-in capability. Look how.
Now
look at that now. Jeez. 141 messages. That's a better example, I think, than looking at the console.
Yep.
So I'm
gonna shut that guy down.
That's exactly how many times the UI got called, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that proves our observable collection question, though. So it does not. And the chat is chiming in. Hello from SA. Hello. Something Black Dragon.
Hey, Mr. Black Dragon.
Welcome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. you have to get back to work. So do I. And we will be back next week. We'll mess around with collections a little bit more and get our kind of
Yeah,
our
let's have
event
some
loop set up.
visual rewards, right? Let's add like one chart. We'll have a goal to add one line series that does the grid power or something like that.
Yeah, let's see.
It'll be temporary.
Chart or gauge.
Perfect.
For these items there.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool.
We'll catch you all next week. Join us same time. Take care.